name is Paige. I'm a 28-year-old office employee. My husband Thomas is 5 years older than me, and we got married 3 years ago. We always used to talk about wanting kids before I turned 30 years old, but unfortunately, we weren't blessed with children. We took a leap of faith and got tested, but it was discovered that both Thomas and I had problems and it would be difficult for us to get pregnant. We considered infertility treatment, but...
You know what? Even if we don't have kids, as long as I have you, Paige, that's all I need. We don't need to force it and go through such a difficult treatment. The two of us can be happy together forever.
I also agreed with Thomas's words. Even years after we got married, the two of us got along well, and every weekend we would go on dates and would have a lot of fun together. You're right. Even if it's the two of us, we can still have a great life together. We were both working full-time and every day was fulfilling. That's what I thought. Even if we didn't have kids, things would be fine as long as I had my beloved Thomas by my side. And so, the two of us decided that we would continue living together, just the way we were. Now that I no longer had the limitations of giving birth and raising a child, I put all of that energy into my work, and I started working like crazy. And then eventually, I was put in charge of larger projects and I got promoted more and more in the company. I was grateful that my salary was increasing, but my personal time at home was decreasing. And on the weekdays, every day, I would be stuck working until late. I would only be able to spend proper time with Thomas on the weekends. I couldn't get around to the chores around the house, and I felt so sorry to Thomas. I'm really sorry, Thomas. Once this current project is over, I should be able to spend more time at home. And then, let's go together to the hot springs or somewhere.
Don't worry about it. You're amazing at your job, so you should keep working hard. I think it's super cool how hard you work. I can take care of things around the house, but be careful not to be too busy and take care of yourself.
Thomas was always better at cooking and much more detailed with the chores than me, and I had nothing but gratitude for Thomas. Well, Thomas was never the type to enjoy working that much, and I guess you could say that he wasn't the kind of person to proactively go after promotions either. He just doesn't like to compete, so he's not the most suitable for working in a company. Perhaps because he's so kind, he's weak under pressure, and he's quick to get lost in the current around him. To the point where sometimes he even says the joke, "Maybe I should be a stay-at-home husband." I was supported by my husband, Thomas, who would say things like that, and I was working extra hard every day. This sounds bad to say, but Thomas's salary was close to nothing, and if I didn't work hard, we wouldn't be able to survive. I'm sorry, Thomas. It looks like I'm going to be late because of work again. About dinner.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. Looks like I'm going to be working overtime too, so I don't need dinner either.
Recently, it seemed like Thomas was also busy with work, and we would both come home late at night sometimes. Thomas started having a lot more business trips, and we wouldn't be able to see each other on the weekends either. If we're both working this hard, maybe we could retire early? If that happens, then we could buy a small house in the suburbs and spend our retirement relaxing together. I was even imagining that far ahead. Then one day, when I was outside for work, I happened to run into Thomas's colleague, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith had attended our wedding, and he had been over to our house a number of times to hang out. Mr. Smith! Long time no see.
Oh my, Miss Paige. It really has been a long time. I heard that you've been quite busy recently.
You heard right. I happen to have a little bit of work backed up. Seems like Thomas has been pretty busy too. These days, it feels like we both go home just to sleep. When I said that, I felt like Mr. Smith's expression changed for just a moment.
Thomas is busy? Miss Paige, wait a minute. Maybe you haven't heard?
Haven't heard? About what?
Well, nothing.
I want to know. If he's going to hide it so weirdly, then I want to know even more. I confronted Mr. Smith and I had him confess.
Actually...
To my disbelief, Thomas had made a huge mistake at work 3 months ago when he was demoted. He was essentially given a notice of incompetence and been outcast of the company. His salary was reduced drastically, and apparently he was transferred to a department that was super bored with 0 overtime. This was the first time I was hearing of this, and I was shocked. That guy, why didn't he tell me any of this? But wait, then what is he doing every day not coming home until late? Could it be? I had a bad feeling, so that day I finished up my work early and I rushed back home. That day, Thomas wasn't coming even when it got late, and he wouldn't open my messages either. By the time he finally came home, it was close to midnight.
I'm home! Oh, Paige, you're home pretty early today, aren't you?
When Thomas saw that I'd come home first, he looked a bit surprised. Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I went home within office hours. You're back quite late. Were you working until now?
Actually, I got invited out for drinks after work, you know, by Smith, that you also know. He insisted that I go with him today, so...
Oh, really? Mr. Smith, huh? Did he mention anything about me?
No, nothing in particular.
This idiot is without a doubt lying right now. Oh, really? Interesting. Is that so? But that's strange. I ran into him by coincidence this afternoon, though.
What? Today in the afternoon? You saw him? Wait, what?
At my words, Thomas was suddenly flustered and scrambling. That's right. And you know, I had no clue, but he told me everything. Everything about your mistake and your demotion.
What? Well, that's...
To an unexpected turn of events, Thomas was at a loss for words as his mouth was moving up and down. According to the rumors, it seems you've been kicked down to quite the bored department, isn't that right? So I wonder where you're going every day until late. And I wonder where your business trip is too. Huh? What is it you're saying? I don't understand you at all. You need to tell me clearly exactly what's going on here. When I came out strong, for some reason, Thomas also flipped a switch and he suddenly came back angry at me.
Well then, let me tell you clearly. This is all your fault! All you do is work like I don't even exist! And you're never at home! And it pisses me off that you're busier than me and that your salary is higher!
What? Wait, so you're saying it pisses you off that I'm good at my job and that my salary is high? I don't get it at all? But even if you say that, you said you understood my work situation, didn't you? So why now?
You better stop looking down on me just because I'm not good at my job! The reason I made the mistake at work was because you were too busy and didn't listen when I needed to talk! And you dumped all of the chores on me! Like, what am I, a maid? Michelle treats me way better, and she's much cuter than you too, and she's a lot younger!
So now you're going to play the victim and yell at me. And plus you suddenly brought out your mistress's name, and even I had had enough and my blood was boiling. Is that so? Well then, why don't you just go and have a good life with that Michelle or whatever? How dare you not talk to me about anything and try to play the victim? And you're the one that cheated, but you're not even apologizing? Ha! You're the worst! As I said that, I threw in a few days' worth of clothes into my night bag and I flew out of the house. Damn it, that Thomas! He didn't even try to apologize and instead he tried to put the blame on me! I'll never forgive him. After I ran out of the house, I decided to stay in a hotel for the time being. A few days later. Some days had passed and I was able to calm down quite a bit. I can't continue living in a hotel like this and I need to have a proper conversation with Thomas at least once too. That's what I thought, so I got in touch with Thomas and I decided to go back home. He was yelling like that the other day, but I know that's not the kind of person he really is. If he can go back to the sweet Thomas he used to be, then maybe we can start over. As I was thinking that and I opened the front door to my house, the first thing that flew into my eyes was a pair of women's shoes I had never seen before. What? Wait, what is this? I was confused as I went in, and when I opened the door to the living room, sitting very close to each other there, was Thomas and a young woman. What is this? The first one to open their mouth was the woman. Oh, so this person is your wife, Thomas. Nice to meet you. I'm Michelle. Why the hell is the mistress inside of my home? Oh, yikes. She's an old lady, Tommy. You have such bad taste. The woman was cackling out of nowhere and my anger was about to explode. Ugh! Who the hell is this rude little girl? Thomas, wasn't the agreement today to talk between the two of us? What is your mistress doing here without my permission?
Given the situation, I think it would be faster to bring Michelle here. Actually, the truth is, Michelle is pregnant.
What? To the sudden shocking announcement, I froze on the spot.
It looks like you and I weren't a good match. But I guess because Michelle is still young, she's already pregnant. And we're going to have a baby. Haha. Michelle says that she's going to give birth to my child.
I could never have expected that his mistress would be pregnant. I was shocked more than I imagined. But how? Because, Thomas, you said it could just be the two of us. You said that we didn't need to force it to have a child.
Well, at that time, that's what I thought. But now that I do have a child, it's different, you know? And plus, a woman who's better at their job and has a higher salary than me is just too much. Someone who's young and doesn't know how the world works, like Michelle, is much cuter.
Excuse me? My jaw dropped at Thomas's unbelievable words. Wasn't it you who was complimenting me for being so good at my job? And plus, I'm pretty sure you've been receiving plenty of the benefits of my salary, too. You're saying you want a girl who's young and doesn't know how the world works?
Well, that's that. So, once Michelle has the baby, we're getting a divorce.
That's right. You're just useless now, old lady. Please hurry up and break up with Tommy. I was an idiot for even thinking I might forgive Thomas. Thomas doesn't think for 1 second that cheating on me was wrong, and it was clear that he doesn't love me anymore. But what does she mean, useless? And there must be something wrong with Thomas as well to be so obsessed with such an empty woman. I'm gonna live in this apartment with Tommy, and Tommy always buys me whatever I want. We're going to have that baby you couldn't make, and Tommy is already mine, so please get out, old lady. What do you mean, get out? At this point, I realized that this little girl named Michelle was making a huge misunderstanding. Aha, looks like Thomas was being quite the generous boyfriend, wasn't he? I see. Listening to these two idiots talk, I felt stupid for standing there and being angry alone. Getting angry at them was just a waste of my time. Alright then, I get it. Well, let's get a divorce. I'll contact you through my lawyer later. Guess I need to gather up my belongings before that. When I backed down that easily, Thomas looked disappointed.
What? Are you sure you're okay with that?
What is there to be okay with? I don't need you in my life anymore. And it looks like no matter what I say to that girl, she won't understand anyway, so goodbye. Wish you all the best. Look at her being such a loser. Wow, how sad. Goodbye, old lady. With the house behind me, I heard that little girl's voice behind my back, but it didn't even bother me one bit. In fact, it was just so funny I couldn't stop grinning and laughing. Look at the brainless couple. You better weep. Now it's my turn. I'm going to teach those two how the world works so they feel it down to the core of their bones, and I'm going to make sure they see just what a difference there is between me and them when I actually put effort into it. That's right. The revenge I was going to get on them was to make sure that I build myself a life that is more beautiful and more fulfilling than theirs. And trust me, if I try, I will. 5 years later. After that, I never once had to see those two again. I hired a lawyer and got a divorce. And of course, everything I was meant to take, I made sure to squeeze every bit out of them without mercy. 5 years later, I had completely forgotten about the existence of the two of them, and I was living my new life when one day, out of pure coincidence, I saw Thomas and Michelle. Oh my, is that you, Thomas? A long time no see. I rolled down the window of the driver's seat and called out to them. Both Thomas and Michelle stared blankly at me. What's the matter? Seeing Thomas for the first time in a while, he had lost a lot of weight, and Michelle was wearing ragged clothes and was looking quite old. They were both wearing clothes that were stretched out and full of stains, and they turned into a weathered, middle-aged old man and old woman.
Paige? Wait, what are you doing in a place like this? Riding such a luxury car?
Thomas was staring at the luxury car I was driving. Oh, this whole thing, this is just my second car for running errands. And plus, what am I doing? This is the apartment building that I manage? I pointed at the high-rise apartment building in front of me as I said that. What?
Wait, what did you just say?
I'd just gotten back and was about to park my car when I saw those two sad-looking figures that I recognized over there. Wait a minute. How is this... What? What do you mean, manage this building? What about the apartment you kicked us out of? This time, Michelle opened her mouth. Oh, I sold that place a while ago since I bought the whole building here. I don't need it anymore. Come on, don't say I kicked you out. That sounds bad. The apartment was always under my name to begin with, and I was paying for all of it, too. That's right. That apartment that Michelle had misunderstood and thought was going to become hers was both under my name and I had been making all the payments. Silly Thomas. Apparently he wanted to look cool in front of Michelle and had told her it was his. And plus, at the time I'd been paying for all of the bills and all the living expenses. The only reason why Thomas was able to have such a generous, cheating lifestyle with a demotion and lowered salary was all because I had such a high salary. Of course, when we got divorced, I collected a settlement fee from both of them and I kicked them both out of the apartment immediately. After that, of course the two of them didn't have anywhere to live, and each with a settlement fee, they were riddled in debt. Apparently, Michelle had a miscarriage right after that and they lost the baby, and they were both disowned by their parents and siblings. They both tried to get part-time jobs, but because they were both so incompetent, they would get fired in a matter of days. Well, I had already heard that they'd been having quite the hard time. And then at that moment, the apartment doors opened up and a small girl ran out from the inside. Mommy! You're taking so long that I came out here to get you! The child came running towards me when I got out of the car and jumped into my arms. I'm sorry for taking so long. As I said that, I picked up my daughter, Pauline. Pauline was about to turn 3 years old as she looked just like me and was so cute.
What? Did she say mommy?
I thought you couldn't have kids. Thomas and Michelle couldn't grasp the situation. Oh, that's right, I got remarried. Maybe my current husband and I were a good match. Although with someone over here, it was totally not good. Oh, that's right. After I got remarried, my husband and I started our own business, and it was a huge success. Unlike some failure over here, he's a hard worker and a sharp man. My husband. And right at that moment, my husband Sean also arrived.
Paige! You were taking a while to come home, so I was getting worried, and I came down along with Pauline. Come on, we need to start getting ready. We have the Panicora Trading Company's party at the Panicolette Hotel today.
My handsome Sean was already wearing his perfectly tailored suit for the party. I don't mean to brag, but my husband is totally awesome! And little Michelle was just staring blankly at him in awe. She was also muttering something under her breath, but Thomas just remained silent. He had an awkward expression on his face. Well, that's that, so if you'll excuse me, although I'm sure I'll never see either of you ever again. I said my last words and I left the two of them standing there in a daze as I walked into the apartment building.
Paige, do you know those two? They both looked like they were glaring at you.
Sean looked perplexed as he asked that, and this is how I answered. They were people that I knew from a long, long time ago. But now they're just strangers and people that I don't need in my life. And so, a few years later, I was able to get revenge on those two by becoming super happy in my life. Those two were looking like deers in headlights. You played with someone's heart like it was an object and threw it away, so that's why you got punished. Take that. After that, according to stories that I heard from other people, right after I ran into them, those two were caught by their debt collectors. It turned out that they'd been running away from the collectors, and now they're being watched 24/7 as they work from morning until night in a sketchy factory somewhere. Actually, after that day, Thomas came a number of times to the apartment to try and talk to me. He came after me to borrow money and try to get back together. I don't know who the hell he thinks he is. Of course, I immediately called the police and I drove the nail in the coffin so that he never shows up here again. But he was caught by the debt collector again, and this time I heard he was shipped off to a remote island. Well, with that, I'm sure I won't be seeing him near my place again. As for me, I'm living a truly happy life surrounded by Sean and Pauline. Back then, I was pushing myself because I thought I had to be the one to work hard. But now I'm by my side, and I can rely on him for anything.
Paige, you always work too hard. Now you have a reliable partner in me, so I want you to rely on me as much as you want.
I will. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. I truly am happy. Mommy, you know I'm here too. And I will always be here for you, Mommy and Daddy. You're right, honey. I also have you, Pauline. And one more right here.
What? Wait a minute. Paige!
That's right. Pauline, you're going to become a big sister. Let's all have a fun life together as a family of four now. Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!